Welcome to Connection is the Medicine. I'm your host, Eaden Shantay. Today I welcome my wife and partner, Deva Shantay, an intuitive guide, Ayurvedic chef and practitioner, fine artist, and incredible mom. We just returned from a 28-day cleanse at Vajragrama in Coimbatore, India, in the tradition of Ayurveda. What's Ayurveda? The ancient medicinal science of longevity from the Indian continent that dates back 5,000 years. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's dive right into the podcast. Welcome, Deva. We just got back from an Ayurvedic Panchakarma cleanse, and I'd love to chat with you about our experience and what we learned. So please give us a little general picture of what Ayurveda is and what Panchakarma is, and then we'll dive into our personal experiences.
So Ayurveda is the science of life. I think of it as common sense knowledge. So this knowledge is something that we do innately know. Once we connect deeper to ourselves, it becomes more apparent. But until it becomes more apparent, we're using the wisdom written down in the Vedas from 5,000 years ago. We're following this ancient wisdom, which is really very simply showing us and guiding us into how to live a more balanced life. And so we're here to balance all of our doshas, which means the 5 elements in our body, because each one of us has a specific constitution of elements. And when we live harmoniously with them, then we feel good and we don't suffer disease. So Ayurveda is this science of life that's focused on longevity. Because when you are healthy and you have good well-being, you're happy, you're giving back to the world, you're serving. This is about aging well. This is about recognizing it's okay to be 50, 60, 70, and to look 50, 60, 70. We're not trying to look 20 years old, but we should not suffer ill effects as we age. And so Ayurveda gives us tips and tools and resources in order to live a life that we feel good and vibrant every step of the way. A lot of the times people in the United States or in the Western world, let's say, may not understand that Ayurveda actually does cover everything, every part of medicine, even surgery, because it is a full holistic science. And so Ayurveda teaches us how to listen to ourselves again. This is something that if you follow, you're following something written in the scriptures that hasn't changed. And to me, that's been really powerful and something I can rest in because it's not a fad. And so I really trust this wisdom throughout the day. You're paying attention to what elements are present in you at that moment, being the 5 elements that make us up. So earth, water, fire, air, space. And each one of those elements is reflected differently. And we each have a different percentage of those elements inside of us. So it makes me uniquely me, which means there is no diet that's one size fits all. Just because I'm a human being does not mean I should be eating exactly what you're eating, because we're different. We're a different composition of these elements. And my elemental makeup is unique to me. And to stay balanced, I have to pay attention. So I believe that Ayurveda teaches us to be more intuitive and more in tune with ourselves, be more aware. You have to pay attention. You have to go out to a restaurant and you look at what's being offered and you have to self-reflect and say, which one of these entrees is going to support me right now? And so it gives you this wisdom to be able to make educated decisions about yourself. And it gives you this ability to go through life consciously instead of unconsciously.
And what I love about it is it's not just diet, it's how I'm sleeping, it's the amount of activity that I have each day. So it's a multifaceted, holistic approach to living life to come into alignment with how we were created for our karma.
And I know you say it's not just diet, but the interesting thing that Ayurveda will teach you is everything begins in the gut.
Mm.
And so that's why we put such an emphasis on diet.
Yes.
Lifestyle is very important too. But that's why we went to do an Ayurvedic cleanse. The cleanse is very focused on diet, on giving you a very sattvic diet to follow during the cleanse to just settle the digestive system. But then also they're giving you herbal remedies that are going in and healing the gut, working with the elements inside of you in the way that you need, whether it be stimulating some elements or softening, calming elements down that may be too high. So Ayurveda is a multifaceted approach, but the first thing we're going to look at is the digestion. How well are you digesting life? So on the physical, but also the emotional, the mental, because it all plays a role. And so we went and just completed 28 days of Panchakarma, which was honestly a dream come true for me because I've been studying and practicing Ayurveda for 20 years now. But in the last 5 years, I've really went pretty hardcore into it with many, many different studies and different traditions that I went through. And I knew 20 years ago I'd want to do a Panchakarma. I didn't know when I'd be able to do it because it's a luxury to be able to leave our lives for 28 days and go seclude ourselves at an Ayurvedic hospital in India to receive the ancient way of cleansing the body. And so Panchakarma it's Panchakarma. There are 5 stages that they take you through. So it's a systematic approach, yet completely individually customized because every day the doctors are evaluating us individually to see how our elements are doing. It's called the doshas. The dosha just means which elements are activated at that time.
Which elements you have in greater percentage?
I have a certain percentage of fire, air, and earth. Like, let's simplify them like that. And my percentage is different than you have. And
therefore, you're going to require a completely different protocol than me.
And so the important thing to understand is you don't just go to Panchakarma because you're sick. I'm actually, on paper, I'm a really healthy person. I don't have a lot of issues I'm working with. I've been lucky in that way. I've got good genetics in some regard. I've got good karma. And also I've lived a very good lifestyle for many, many years. And so I don't have a lot of conditions. Yet I go there and they're taking my pulse to read my doshas to see what elements are activated, which elements need balance. Let's put it more that way. And no matter who you are, they're going to notice that, life has caused, for whatever reason, this element or that element to get imbalanced.
Yes.
And so Panchakarma is a way through this systemized approach through 5 stages to balance the body. But the most important thing about it, I think, is just leaving the world which has caused your imbalance for a month. That by itself does a lot.
And when you say leaving the world, what pieces do you think are the most important to leave behind?
Family, work, home, environment, and media, because you weren't on media while you're at Panchakarma. They have a very, very strict, limited internet schedule to allow you to disengage, even if, yes, Panchakarma is its own way of leaving the world and going and getting this treatment. But even if you could just leave the world for a weekend and go camping, that would do a lot for you, because I think a big part of healing is stepping away from what's been causing the imbalance. Like, there's step one. Even choosing to step away, that starts the healing process right there. It's recognizing that I need some support right now. I need some healing, and making that choice to step away from everything that's been going on that gives you comfort and attention and purpose, and saying, I'm going to take this time to heal myself. That's step one of healing right there. And Panchakarma gave us that opportunity to step away from everything and to tell everyone close to us, hey, sorry, I'm not going to be very available. I'm doing this cleanse.
So could you give us just a real general sense of what's a day like? Like, what are we going through at Panchakarma?
Like, let me give a real general, and then we can break it down to what a day looks like. But real general, you start off and you've got to prepare the body. Like, you just got there. And so to prepare the body, they're just they're easing you in. They're starting some treatments to like calm the system down. They're giving you sattvic food, which sattvic food just means it's super clean, it's organic. A lot of the food is grown on their premises. It's very clean. They're making it in a very good way, energetically, like with prayer and things. And also, there's no stimulants. So that by itself it can be a rough stage for people for the first 3 to 5 days, depending on how long you can commit to being there. We chose 28 days. The minimum for Panchakarma is 21 days. And I'm really grateful we had that extra week. I feel like we needed it. So the first stage is just preparation. It's like you're starting to detox your body from stimulants. There's no garlic and onions. There's no tomatoes and eggplant. There's no nightshades coming in. There's definitely no caffeine. There's no sugar. There's no chocolate. You also are acclimating to the time, because if you're traveling to India and you don't live there, you've got jet lag that comes in. So you're acclimating in the first preparatory stage. They're doing gentle treatments on you and they're getting to know you. And then once they get to know you, then they move into, okay, time to start to bring balance to the body. To bring balance is going to require a detoxification, but you have to prepare the body to detox. So they have treatments preparing the body so you detox in a safe way. So the body is very prepared, very calming, very nourishing, but not causing disturbance. I mean, they even limit the wheat. You know, for us personally, for both of us, they just did a no wheat for us for 28 days. There's no dairy. So they're cutting out the foods that may be upsetting people.
That's what you mean by a sattvic diet. Very simple, very calming.
Very calming, very nourishing, but not causing disturbance. Yeah. So that's like the first stage, the preparation stage. And then after you've been there and the doctors have gotten to know you and they can really tell, what do you need? Then they start to prepare the body for cleansing. In that stage, it's more that they're going to start to oil the body outside and inside, like they're lubricating the body. Because the vata dosha, I'll use that term, is air and space. It dries us up. And so many people suffer from dryness conditions when you have mental conditions or nervousness and anxiety, or you're suffering from constipation, or you have dry skin, dry eyes. Aging, menopause. I mean, there's so many reasons that this vata dosha, this air and space, comes in. The air and the space causes disease, it really amplifies it. And so one of the first stages after you've prepared the body is you're going to oleate it. You're going to lubricate. And that also can involve, and all of this is a base guideline. Like you and I did the oleation phase at 2 different times. I started it before you started it because they had you doing treatments to move your energy more. So they were pounding and they were using powders to rub on your body and to exfoliate and move energy that way. And so it's like, even though I'm talking about these 5 stages, there's stuff in between them depending on what you need. Then you go through your purgation and depending on who you are, depending on what you need, you might be purging in different ways. There is no one size fits all. There is no, you show up and this is what happens. There's a general overview. And inside of that, they create an individualized plan.
Can you share just a sense of the different treatments that people might get?
You're at an Ayurvedic hospital, and so it's not a spa. And so every treatment they're doing is to work with your imbalances to bring healing. It's not necessarily for pleasure. And so that's an important thing to note.
Yeah.
Because even though I had oil rubbed on me every day, it did not feel the same as having a massage where you are just completely zoned out and they're just nourishing you with love. This is more like they showed up to heal you. And so they're like nurses working on you. And so you might be rubbed down with oil. You might be washed with an herbal tincture. They might be using powders to rub and stimulate the body. They might be using herbal treatments that they're, pounding on the skin or the muscles in certain ways to move energy. There's really so many treatments. It just depends on what you need to remove what no longer serves.
So I want to break right now and dive into your personal and my personal experience. And so I want to start out by asking, what did you find most challenging about your time at Panchakarma?
I mean, honestly, my fear for going to Panchakarma, I was scared of not being able to exercise like I normally exercise, because it's always been something that settles my mind. And I tend to suffer from restless leg if I don't move enough. And I was afraid of having that. So that was my fear. And initially, I would say it challenged me because they directly ask you not to do that. You're supposed to walk minimally. And it's not a walk for exercise. It's a walk for digestion, if you think of it like that. It's a walk for pleasure, but it's not for exercise. They don't even want you doing much yoga. I did ask permission to do some yoga, and I got permission to do a very gentle practice unless I became too tired, and then not to do it. And I witnessed my yoga practice. It kind of looked the same in the beginning, but I don't do a really vigorous practice anymore in my life. Anyhow, yoga to me is more like a body meditation. But I witnessed it over those 28 days go from looking kind of normal for the first, 3 to 5 days. And then once they really start the detox stage, I witnessed myself get so tired that I really couldn't do yoga. And I found myself laying on my back and just kind of just stretching my legs. And they're definitely more yin of a practice, not a yang practice. And so I would say the stopping was my greatest challenge to go through. But I did learn that I don't need as much movement as I thought I did. That's what Panchakarma really showed me, is that I don't need to push myself as much as I've been pushing myself, that I can rest more, that it showed me that my body isn't going to change, because I've had fears of that. What if I don't exercise? What will my body look like? Is it going to look a way I don't want it to look. And to be honest, Panchakarma showed me that no, you're going to look the same, but you're going to feel better. You're going to be more relaxed. You're not as tense. You're not as high strung, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big thing for me.
For me, I was worried about not having chocolate or caffeine, the stimulants that sometimes I go for, because part of my imbalance is that I'm often tired throughout the day. And so I reach for those stimulants, and it was really incredible that I had very little craving there with the environment and how I was being fed, even though it was incredibly simple food. And I actually had them give me portion control. And so I was eating probably half of what I normally eat. And so mindful eating is a big part of what I'm working on in my life. Slowing down, bringing the sacred into the food consuming process. And so it was really nice to have the meals dropped off at our place and to sit with you and offer a prayer before our meals, and then to really take our conscious time without media, without music, without anything, and just really connect with food. It was incredible. I shed probably 3 or 4 pounds a week. I actually went because I wanted to lose, well, I went for a variety of reasons, but I wanted to lose about 15 pounds. For me personally, I think the greatest challenge was when Panchakarma ended. And I had to then leave you, the support of you, leave the support of Vajragrama, and then travel back home, 4 days, time change, airport food. And I really found myself not taking care of myself the way I needed to. I brought caffeine back immediately because of my exhaustion due to the time changing. And then when you got back home, was it like 4 or 5 days later, a week later?
Yeah.
You saw my energy field like really different. Like I was so open, so peaceful, so present and connected at Panchakarma. And it was amazing how quickly I lost that.
Mm-hmm.
And then with you coming home and us really going into deep process about me losing myself, I was able to regain my connection to myself and really bring in consciousness to food and diet and such, and exercise and meditation and my personal practices. And now it's a week since you've been home and I'm rebalanced and reconnected. How can I maintain my personal practices around sleep, around exercise, around self-reflection and meditation? So it's been really nice to come back to myself, come back to who I was able to connect with at Panchakarma. So let's move on to, what did you love most about your experience at Panchakarma? What were the 2 or 3 parts of being at Vajragrama that really had a positive impact on you?
I just think I needed that stepping away from everything. I think that was probably the biggest takeaway from me, was just having that space. Because, I do keep myself really busy, and I was able to create space for just rest and not sleep, because in Ayurveda, you don't day sleep. So it's not like in midday everybody's taking naps. It's actually one of the number one causes of disease is sleeping during the day. And so they don't want you to do that. And so I was reading books, and I read a lot. I got back into painting, and it felt really good to paint as a meditation with no anticipation of what the outcome was going to be, but just to paint and meditate in that way. There was a lot of time for meditation and prayer. And so while I was there for the healing of the body, it was really, I think, the healing for the mind for me, because the food and everything, I don't have any issues with the food. I don't have any issues eating the sattvic diet. I pretty much eat that all the time as it is. So that didn't bother me. I didn't have cravings coming on. I don't have any issues with the treatments that they put me through. There was a moment where I think I had the same treatment every day for 11 days. And I was ready for that treatment to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I'm ready to move on to the next treatment, because I was just every day rubbed down in the same fashion with the same stuff. And after 11 days, I was done with that. I think that's my biggest takeaway, irrelevant to it being at Vajragrama. It just was the space and time that Panchakarma gives you was what I needed to be able to do a lot of self-reflection and journaling. Connection.
Yeah. It was the most peaceful campus place that I've been to in my journeys to India, because it's usually very, very chaotic. Mm-hmm. And so I really appreciated the peace of the whole setting and the prayerfulness that was a part of it. They had a beautiful shrine to the Ayurvedic father, Dhanvantri. And I really loved when you and I would go and offer our prayers and connect with the temple and the priest who was holding space there, and this beautiful old woman who was there all the time in prayer. And so I really appreciated the morning prayers, the evening prayers, the pujas throughout the day, the fire ceremonies. It was really special for me personally. I guess for our listeners, a really important question is, if somebody can't take 3 or 4 weeks out of their life, how could they bring some of these practices into their life if they can't go to India?
The takeaway, I would say, from Panchakarma, what I think it really gave me in my personal life is, one, yes, we took 28 days to really go do it, but it really comes back to why I was leading people on week-long resets. Just taking one day to yourself is a gift. Mm-hmm. And so that one day could be something you give yourself once a month. You take one day and you give that day to you. And on that day, you eat healthy, mm-hmm. clean, a simple diet, and you stay in silence. You offer a little ceremony to yourself. You do a little journaling practice. You read a book. Maybe you do something creative, art, or just writing a bit. You move minimally. So maybe it's a very gentle qigong, tai chi, yoga practice, or nothing at all, or it's just breath. But I think that whatever amount of time you have to give to yourself is worthy.
Yeah.
It does not have to be 28 days. Mm-hmm. But 28 days gave us a complete stop.
Yeah.
And after a lifetime, I'm 46, after 46 years of pushing and doing and accomplishing so much, to stop for 28 days and just sit with myself. Now, it would have been more powerful if I did it without you.
Yeah.
Because I had you as a buffer. I wasn't alone, in the evenings. If I was going through something, I had you to talk to. We were processing together. And we talked to other people that were there. And one person was sharing about that she has come with her partner, and it's a lot easier to have your partner there. But I could also see the gift of going by yourself. Mm-hmm. And it would be stronger to go completely by yourself.
I don't know if it'd be stronger. I know it would be different, because I know that doing it with you was challenging at times. We were really processing a lot, and you had your processes and I had mine, and I thought it was really special to go through it with you.
I just think that it was the full stop that was really powerful, and we're not out of it, because it's like you don't want to ruin the good work you just did. Mm-hmm. And so and also you've got to be gentle on your body. And so we're still continuing to eat clean and healthy.
Yes.
And we're still taking herbs to help purify the body and to restore the body after what we just went through. We're still in a restoration stage. And we'll be in this stage for 3 months after, we have 3 months of herbs. And then we'll meet with our doctor again virtually and get another probably 3 months of maybe the same herbs, maybe different herbs, but he'll keep us working through this protocol of just getting more and more balanced.
Yeah.
Which then allows us to live a happier, more sattvic lifestyle, more relaxed and peaceful.
One of the things I wanted to share as we move to close this podcast is that at 58 years old, I have come to know that there's certain things like I'm pre-diabetic and I have hyperthyroidism and slow digestion and metabolism. And that if I wouldn't have taken this time, it's like it was a fork in the road for me. And it was so important for me to do this deep dive into really understanding the roots of the imbalances that would eventually flower into disease in my life, and to work on those and to really understand those. So at 58, I can make the changes in my life now so that I can have another healthy 20, 25 years where I'm, thriving.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part of Panchakarma, is this preventative aspect of catching things as they're at their really small stages within ourselves, these imbalances in really subtle ways, and then being able to make lifestyle, dietary changes so that I can have the health and vitality that I want so that I can really enjoy my life.
Ayurveda is preventative. If you can create the imbalance before it's a disease that has a name, once it's a disease that has a name, it's a lot harder to reverse that than it is to prevent that disease from happening. And so for you, learning that you're pre-diabetic, well, you've gained information and wisdom to help you not become diabetic. And hopefully that will be the case, that you don't have to go there. And for me, being 46, I'm not in perimenopause yet, but it's on the cusp. It's going to happen very, very soon. And so that was something that I met with the doctor about, is how do I enter perimenopause in the best way? And, I loved how he shared with me. He's like, you coming and doing this before perimenopause is exactly what you needed to do, because you're preparing your body for this shift in life.
Yeah.
The big nugget of wisdom is, don't wait. Take charge of your life now. Make small changes. Like maybe don't have a coffee every single day, but make it sacred and have it a couple times a week. Or maybe it's just once a week that you have your sacred cup of coffee and you're not overstimulating yourself all the time. And maybe you give yourself an opportunity to rest more. Maybe you prioritize sleep. Maybe you stop drinking alcohol and just stop it. Like, don't have it anymore. There's no good for the body by drinking alcohol. So let's cut that out. Let's not smoke. Let's cook home-cooked food instead of eating out or eating packaged meals. And so it's really asking us to get back to nature.
It's really simple.
It's really simple. All illness begins in the gut. And if everything begins in the gut, well, then it starts with, how are you treating your gut? What are you eating? What are you consuming? How are you digesting? To close up, I think Panchakarma was extremely beneficial. I'm committed to working this into our schedule to do yearly. And I think 28 days was the perfect amount of time.
Absolutely.
With 21 being the minimum, honestly, I think 28 is like, it's the pocket, I think.
I agree.
So,
Yeah, those last few days were challenging. Like we were ready for it to end.
we were ready for it to end, but if we were there 21 days, we would have been ready to leave at 17 days.
Uh-huh.
I just think when you know you're leaving, that anticipation comes on and you start to think about what's on the other side.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm really glad we did it. It was a dream come true for me.
Well, our listeners will be able to send us questions and we can continue the discussion on the Connection is the Medicine podcast. And Deva, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And I know that we're going to have more discussions about Ayurveda and Panchakarma and conscious living as we continue on. We are both wishing everybody well, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining me on Connection is the Medicine podcast, dedicated to more deeply connecting with the truth of who we are. Through exploring our passion and living our dharma, relationship and community, through connecting with the natural world and spirit. If you'd like to learn more about our foundation, visit connectionisthemedicine.com. Thank you for joining me, and I wish you a beautiful day. Blessings.